when his nose smashed against the door of not his mighty establishment, but that of his neighbors, the Patels. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit Uncle. Thank you for doing the honors, and thank you for reading that absolutely wonderful 2 passages actually from the book. Congratulations, Shweta. It truly reads so well, but that also has something to do with your illustrious father. I'm going to actually now turn the spotlight on Shweta and actually get her to do some talking about her journey, how it all happened. And for that, I would like to invite critic, a filmmaker, and an author himself, the very prolific Raja Sen.
Shweta, one thing about you that everyone seems to know is that you read a lot. Words mean a lot to you. And so your first book, you're someone who does many things. You've been a columnist. You've just launched a fashion label. Your first book, how momentous is this occasion for you?
Is it extremely, extremely momentous? I can hardly believe it.
There are pros and cons of having your parents on stage with you. You've dedicated Paradise Towers to your grandfathers.
Yes.
To the poet Shweta Bachchan and to the journalist Tarun Kumar Bhaduri.
That's right.
Could you tell us a little more about how these illustrious writers shaped you as a reader and as a writer?
So Raja, while growing up, we were always surrounded by literature. We were encouraged to read, not just by my grandfather, but also my grandmother. And there was always a huge influence of storytelling. Every night before we went to bed, my grandparents lived with us, and my brother and me would go to our dadi's room, and we would spend an hour there, and she would tell us stories, orally, of course. And we would be fascinated and ask for more, and she would continue to tell us stories till it was time to get to bed. And we grew up with a very strong influence of that. So it was a lot about storytelling. My grandfather on every birthday wrote us a poem to each of his 6 grandchildren on their separate birthdays as a gift. And my Nana was very passionate and opinionated, about issues that were close to his heart. He was a very liberated man, and he always encouraged women to, go out there and do something and make something of their lives, as he did with his 3 daughters. So I think it's a mix of both of these things. Nana wrote mainly in Bengali, and I don't read it or write it, unfortunately, so I haven't been able to read his stuff. But they were always furiously scribbling away, both of them, whenever I visited them. My Dadaji every day, and Nana whenever we went over to meet him in Bhopal. So I think that left a huge impact in my mind. And that's why they are the people who I would dedicate my books to.
Go right in front so that they get a better.
Black ma'am. दे उसको ब्लू शर्ट वाले को ब्लू शर्ट वाले उसको मोबाइल छीन लो।
Hi guys, we need the passage here, please. चलिए बड़ा रास्ता छोड़ दीजिए। Please the passage to be clear, please. ठीक है चलिए छोड़ दीजिए प्लीज चलो। फ्लैश बंद करो फ्लैश बंद करो फ्लैश बंद करो। पीछे आ जाओ पीछे आ जाओ। थोड़ा पीछे हो जाइए सब लोग। लेफ्ट साइड लेफ्ट साइड। एक मिनट एक आप तो आगे चलिए अरे यार लोग आपसे तो भांटे। अरे क्या कर रहे हैं दिख रहा है लोग आगे अभी इधर ले लो ले लो ले लो कोई भी ठीक है पीछे सर हैप्पी बर्थडे सर हैप्पी बर्थडे असं चला असं चल असं चल हैप्पी बर्थडे राजा दी घर पे बोल दिया पहले हैप्पी बर्थडे साहब किसी को बोलेंगे थोड़ा पीछे पीछे सर यहाँ पे वो डस्टबिन कुणाल सर यहाँ पे कुणाल सर कोई फोटो नहीं मिल रहा है मेरे इंडस्ट्री से जुड़ी और खबरें जानने के लिए देखते रहिए जैसे तैसे.com।